Hey everyone, Mike Settele here, founder of Settele Tutoring, and in this lesson I'm going to talk about a very common SAT weakness, or more like a complaint. People cannot understand the reading passages. They just don't know what they're reading, it doesn't make any sense to them, and they end up feeling the need to read it, then reread it, then reread it again. And that is a lot of wasted time. And so we need to have a better strategy, a better approach, because I do not think rereading is a good idea. So let's talk about some things we can do if we don't understand the passages to help us understand them a bit better, get more questions right, and ultimately just kind of accept this as part of the SAT. So like I said, we're not going to reread immediately. Just think about it. Think about the times you've done this. How often does it actually help? How often when you reread a passage, are you actually better off because you've reread it? Did you actually pick up some new ideas? There's something you noticed that you didn't notice last time. You need to be honest with yourself. If rereading it doesn't help, stop rereading it. Fight that urge to just always go back. There are other things we can do. Now, for some of you, it might actually help, so fine, then maybe it wouldn't be a waste of time. But I do think a lot of people have trouble finishing the reading section because they just need to reread and reread and reread. And that's not really getting you any more information, but it's burning through time on that clock. So there are some other things we can do. First of all, just remember the main reading strategy is to make dumb summaries. So maybe you're setting the bar too high for what you're trying to get out of the passage. You think you need to be able to basically write a book report or an essay about what you just read. This is not English class in school. You do not need a long, complicated summary to summarize what's going on. You just need a word or two, maybe sometimes even a connotation. If all you get is the poem, the passage, whatever, is positive or negative, that might be enough to answer the questions and sort through the choices. So lower the bar. You don't need to have a complicated summary. In fact, I usually don't recommend trying to write one because it's not going to necessarily help you answer the question. A lot of times when I ask my students for a summary, at least at first, before they get the hang of dumb summaries, they're writing summaries that are 4 sentences long. That's how long the passage is. That's not a summary. It's got to be really short and crisp. Plus, the answer choices might not focus on the same details that you focus on. This is where different opinions can happen. You might think a passage is about one thing, but honestly, the choice might think it's about something else. And so you're wasting time writing a summary that doesn't actually match with anything in the choices. And that's really the main idea that we need to focus on, is the reason we don't need to write a summary and then go find it in the choices is that the choices are for summaries, and we can then test those summaries against the passage. This is my main strategy. If you watch me in my videos, yes, I do write very quick summaries. I kind of give you a word or two that I'm thinking about, but I'm not really interested too much in that. It's just something to kind of be a placeholder. The most of the work that I do in my head is this latter part, going to the choices, thinking of those as potential answers, and then testing those answers against the passage, seeing if they are good summaries. That way I don't have to waste time writing something that might not even be there. I'm just evaluating the summaries that they gave me. It's the same reason in math that when we want to plug points into equations instead of writing our own equation. We write our own equation, we might write it wrong, we might get one that doesn't really fit with any of the choices, and so it's better to just take the 4 equations that they give us and test them out by plugging in points. So it's the same idea. They're giving you the work. They're doing the work for you. Your job is to just evaluate the work they've done and find the best summary. And we do have some tools to help us with that. The main thing is to remember to break the choices apart. Even when they're short, there's multiple pieces to those choices, and I talk a lot about this in 2 of the episodes from my strategy series, the episode on strong words and the episode on trap answers. Both of these are really good. If you cannot think about what's going on in the passages, you've got to be able to focus on the choices because they're usually easier to understand. And I have to say, that episode on the trap answers is one of the best pieces of SAT material I have ever made, and it does not have nearly enough views. So for all you people struggling on reading, that is the place to go. Watch the episode on dumb summaries first, but that trap answer thing gives you an entirely new way to notice strong words in the answer choices, to notice the kinds of things they're going to do to make a choice that seems really, really good actually wrong. And that is why I'm okay sorting through passages that I don't understand, because I know how to sort through the choices much better than most other people. Now, even if we can't find certain traps or strong words, what this is doing for us, it is giving us more specific ideas. So if we are going to need to reread the passage, which I do from time to time, that is definitely something I do, I'm always trying to reread with purpose. I don't want to just go into a passage and say, what is this about? That's an open-ended question. That's a big, broad idea. I want to go in and I'm going to say, is it about this? Right? I want to have a much more specific thing that I'm hunting for in the passage, right? So by breaking the choices apart and focusing on the specific ideas, I'm able to then go back to the passage and hunt for that idea. Now, it's important to remember, when I break it apart, when I notice strong words, I'm not necessarily looking for the exact word in the passage. The SAT rarely does that. So if you're just trying to copy and paste specific words, that's not going to help you. What you want to do is focus on the idea that that word conveys, right? So if they say in the choice something is going to be unexpected, we would want to maybe look for a word like surprising in the passage, right? Those are different words, but they have the same meaning. So we've got to be capable of doing that. That's why it's good to have a nice vocabulary so you can have some synonyms ready to go for certain things. But it is important to focus on the right words. I definitely recommend focusing more on adjectives and verbs, the kind of descriptive words that are going to help us say more about what's going on in the passage rather than just the specific nouns that the passage is about. And that's really important for things like those science passages that you don't understand. Yes, they're going to keep repeating those same complicated words that you've never heard of, but it's not those words that matter. It's what they say about those things. That's what the passage is almost always about. That's how we sort through the choices. Now, at a certain point, you can do all this really, really well, but it does come down to sometimes just accepting your confusion. And some of you are just not good at this. You're not used to having tests where you don't know the answers, where you are confused by what you read. But this is a time test. It's a different kind of test. We have to accept that we will not have enough time to understand every single thing going on in every single passage. I do not have that kind of time, and I've been doing this for 15 years. So we are up against the same problem here. It's just we're very limited in what we can do. So our goal is to make the best bet for the right answer with the limited resources that we have during the test, right? So this definitely happens when I take tests. If you watch any of my walkthrough videos, you will see that sometimes I've just got to pick an answer and move on. And the way I think about it is I'm playing the percentages. Sometimes I truly understand the passage and I know for sure what the answer is. Other times I'm down to 2 answer choices and maybe something about my practice in the past, certain kinds of words, certain common trap answers, those things make me lean away from an answer choice or maybe lean towards another answer choice. And sometimes I'm thinking of it like that, is that I don't actually know which of the 2 choices that are left or right, but I know historically choices that include the word most tend to be wrong. So I'm going to get rid of that choice and I'm going to place a bet on something that is more likely to be right. I might be wrong, but at least I'm increasing the percent chance that I'm right, trying to increase my confidence in various like test-taking ways. And that's why we have to use the bookmarks. That's why I'm always such a stickler for the bookmarks with my own students and in my videos, is the point of the bookmarks when we're taking practice tests is to record for the future, for our review, whether or not we felt confident in an answer. So this is very, very important because we need to know if there is a better way to prove an answer 100% or if the best we can do is kind of get to 80% confident, 90% confident. But the bookmarks sometimes tell us that maybe we are confused, maybe we are unsure, but we're getting most of those questions right anyway. And I think that's a nice confidence boost to recognize that you might not feel good about what you're doing, but you're still doing it right. On the other side of the coin, if you're getting questions wrong that you are not bookmarking, that you are unsure, you felt sure about, and then you surprisingly got them wrong, that's really, really bad. That means you fell into a trap. You aren't understanding what you're reading, but you think you are, and that has its own host of other problems. So make sure you watch my video on the bookmarks to understand why we do that. And remember, the Blue Book app does not save those bookmarks, so it's very important that you record that on your scratch paper during a practice test. You can go back and see which questions you struggled with, which ones you weren't sure about during your review. You want to review everything you get wrong, but you also want to review everything that you bookmark. And ultimately, you do have to accept too that we might need to sacrifice some of the hard passage questions for easier points. This is why we start with the grammar questions in the reading modules, is those are easy, lockable points. We know the rules. They're where we should be able to follow them and get those questions right. And then moving on through the transitions and the outlines, those are all easy points. We save the passages for last because, yeah, they're the ones that I'm most likely to get wrong. So you are too. And that means that if we do run out of time, at least we're running out of time on a question where we probably would have gotten it wrong anyway. And you have to remember too that you're gonna need to move throughout those passages and start making choices about which ones are best for you to cover with the remaining time. So it sometimes makes sense to take a passage that would take you 4 minutes to really work it through, and maybe you'd still get it wrong, and sacrifice it. Pick a random letter and use that extra time to make sure that 2 or 3 other questions are correct. Because ultimately, your goal is not at 800. I'm sorry, your goal is not at 800. Your goal is to get like 750 or better. And the way to do that sometimes is to sacrifice a question or two to make sure everything else is right. Because if you try to spread yourself too thin, you're going to get more questions wrong. You're going to miss more words, more trap answers, and it's going to hurt you in the long run and hurt your score. So sacrificing one question to save 2 or 3 others is a worthwhile move. Hopefully this is a lot to think about and to help you kind of start to either accept the fact that you don't need to understand the passages, or have some strategies like the trap answers, like the strong words, to help you understand them a bit better, or to at least understand the answer choices a bit better. My channel has tons of stuff on this. So please watch my videos, watch that strategy series. All of the reading videos are going to help you understand the passages better. Plus, anytime I go over a practice test, I will just straight up tell you, this passage makes no sense. I don't get this. I don't know what's going on. Let's go to the choices and start to break them down. And you will see how even when I don't understand what I'm reading, I'm able to still get the question right by taking those answer choices, breaking them apart, and ultimately placing the best bet. Sometimes in a video, I will just say, I don't really know on the test if I would be getting this right. I would just be placing a bet and hoping for the best, and I would bookmark it for review later, and we'll see what happens. So that is just part of taking the test. You do have to accept that. Hopefully you can. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section. If this helped you, please like and subscribe. Once again, I'm Mike Settele, the founder of Settele Tutoring. And remember, when it comes to your scores, don't settle for less, Settele for more. Thanks for watching.